Now, we're still at the point in the history of social media research that we still have more questions than answers. Although this has quickly changed, social media, Facebook started when I was entering my first year of grad school. And by the time I was in my last year of my PhD, I know Oxford University was out offering a master's degree solely in social media. And by the time I earned a tenure track position, I knew colleagues that were actually beginning tenure track positions as professors of social media. Not professors of the internet from a computer science angle, but professors of social media from a sociological angle. So we're starting to make headways in this area. But we still have lots more questions. And so some of the questions, especially towards our social development, tend to be framed how social media impacts our peer relations. Are we interacting with people we know offline or people that we only know online? And is there a difference in how we treat our offline friends versus our online friends? Does social media make us feel lonely? Does it make us have the fear of missing out or FOMO? Do we constantly compare ourselves to others? How does social media help us when we have very overscheduled, busy lives? Does it allow us to be connected to those people we wouldn't be able to meet up with in real life? And how does social media really propel us into drama and cyberbullying? Here at the University of Calgary, Dr. Boone and her associate Pauline have actually been researching how jealousy and social comparisons can work in relationships in terms of jealousy on social media. So we are interested in understanding these nuances. That being said, there's been two main theories that have been driving us. There's the social compensation theory and the rich get richer theory. Let's jump into the social compensation theory. This theory has received less support, but some of the findings are mixed associated with it. And the theory says that individuals that have a hard time making strong peer relationships offline might actually be able to compensate for this by making rich, very detailed relationships, highly quality relationships online. This may be especially true, and there is marginal evidence for this in the literature, that those with social anxiety, especially boys with social anxiety, might be more able to flourish in online environments. Because they have a hard time with intimacy and face-to-face disclosure already, now there's no face-to-face. They're not even parallel sitting beside each other. They don't have to have their video on, and especially things like chatting in a forum or talking to each other over a video game might allow them to disclose and talk about themselves more readily. So this is the possibility they might be able to become more vulnerable in a more anonymous online way. They might be able to vent and disclose the stuff they wouldn't feel safe venting otherwise. This may also allow the kids that would be otherwise rejected from the peer group into finding kids that are like them. Let's say a child is rejected because they just don't have the same interests as others in their school environment. Maybe they're really interested in fantasy novels that are not popular. They can go online and find that fantasy novel community, or find a chess player community, or find a community that really speaks to them. This does have its problems. It can lead us into that co-rumination and radicalization. You might have a child who has an eating disorder and they find websites that encourage disordered eating, or a child who is leaning towards self-harm and they find self-harm, pro-self-harm websites. It can also lead people that feel really marginalized into groups that also encourage that marginalization and radicalization further. So this is not without caution. In addition, social compensation theory really doesn't help us with what's going on in terms of being lurkers or lurking on the internet. So what is lurking on the internet? Well, this is really the person who is completely just passively absorbing things. They are not posting, not liking, and not commenting at all. They're the people that log in all the time, but they don't interact. They're just really watching. Why would a person lurk like that? What's going on? Well, they might be doing this to socially compare. It's okay if they're just going out and reading news articles once in a while, but if they're actually consuming social media and consuming what's happening in the lives of others without ever posting anything for themselves, this tends to be a major risk factor that they're likely to experience a major depressive episode. And that's because rather than viewing social media as a place where one can interact and be at a party, they view it as a TV show or something that's passing them by and they're not a part of it. You can imagine if somebody went to a real life party in vivo and they didn't want to talk or smile or react to anything at that party, there's probably something going on with their mental health. And so a chronic lurker could be that. Now, on the opposite side of the social compensation theory is the rich get richer theory. And this is the idea that individuals who are very pro-social, very outgoing, very popular offline are going to bring that popular presence with them when they go online. So their offline personality is really going to transfer. And it's the idea that the less popular people, they might find a few friends in a forum or a discussion board, but those offline popular people, they're going to bring a presence to the social media. They're going to get followers. They're going to be perceived as an influencer. People are going to want to do what they do. So they could really be a major trendsetter. We also find that what can really happen here is they can establish and maintain new relationships. So they can establish new online connections with people they never would have spoken to offline, and they can also maintain their offline connections. Where this can go wrong, of course, is this can really encourage them to do things that are more risky. Because they are considered an influencer, they might be swayed into doing things just for the likes or just for the clicks that they otherwise wouldn't have done. They might start to curate themselves and present themselves in a more sexualized way, present themselves in a more dangerous way, or in a more shallow way. This may be especially true if somebody's trying to make breathtaking videos and they have to do something very dangerous to either their body or in their environment to get the views and get the likes. And so this is an area that is still emerging, but what we know for sure is it's out there and it's influencing us. And I'm excited to see how this lecture is actually going to change in the next 5 years. But that's what we'll leave it for now. Congratulations, you've reached the end of Unit 8, and you've reached the end of the semester of Social Personality Development. Well done.